into it. Cool. All right. So, thank you all for hopping on this call. This is more so a follow-up from the last Zoom call that was had this past Sunday, essentially looking to provide a better picture as to what the next phase of this project is intended to look like. So for those who, I mean, I recognize every single one of you, but I'll just do a very brief introduction. My name is Shaun Fury. I am a storyteller and filmmaker who is looking to tell a really great story about natural bodybuilding across multiple different formats, such as a docuseries, a feature-length film, and anime. I would like to describe the entire picture as a cinematic universe, very similar to the Star Wars franchise or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The only difference is we're taking real life athletes that we can interact with and walk up to and shake the hand of, like Philip Ricardo Jr. or Dwayne Dawson or Samuel Bordeaux or
Yes, sir.
Sean Fury, and they can walk up to us and say, "Hey, I think what you're doing is so freaking cool, and I want to be just like you." And guess what?
That's
They can, because if they have a proper diet and nutrition and training plan, it's
right.
just that simple. We're not talking
Easy.
about like Jedi Force powers or like superpowers from like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All of these things that we're about to do over the course of the next several years can be replicated by anyone.
Hmm.
Steroids are not required. It's very exciting. At least that's how I see it.
Right.
So to kick this thing off, I would like to open up the question to everyone, and this is like anyone can answer. What in your minds is the value of friendship? And anyone can go. And Daniel, you're the only person who's attending the two meetings, so feel free to chime in as well.
I'll start
And
this one
Mike,
off.
you're here too.
The value of friendship to me is having a soundboard without judgment. So I think like friends should be there to really listen to you and allow you to express yourself while not being judged, but there to guide you in the right direction. Maybe if you're going off a little too far off the edges.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can chime in. So last time I spoke about accountability, how friends can keep you accountable, keep you in your zone. But I think before that, they have to be supportive, like genuinely supportive of your goals and missions and see themselves aligning with you and not sabotaging you or sabotaging themselves, more importantly, in spite of your success, which I see happen.
Anyone else on the value of friendship?
I was
Um,
gonna say that to me it means like unconditional love pretty much. And with that comes truth and respect. So like you have to have those two, truth and respect when you have a friendship and it becomes pretty much like an unconditional bond just because no matter what, you guys are there for each other.
right. I'll just chime in on that and just add, like everybody said, all of what everybody said is actually what the true meaning of friendship is, or the true value of what a friendship really is. It's not just seeing somebody and saying they're your friend, but they support you along your journey. They inspire you to become better. They motivate you. So all of the good things I can think about when it comes on to a friendly relationship that holds value, pretty much.
Love that. Love that. Anyone else before I describe why I actually asked that question? Great, thank you. The reason I asked that question is with my ambition of telling a masterful story across the landscape of Hollywood and the fitness industry, I've done a lot of research as to what the best framework is for the greatest stories that have currently existing. And if we're looking at something like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, I don't know how many people are actually science fiction and fantasy fans, but if we're to look at those two frameworks, it is essentially the hero's journey with an emphasis on the friends that were made along the way. So we have epic stakes, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. There's like a very big journey with a very identifiable bad guy. And we have the main character who is constantly held accountable, held down, grounded, supported with the unconditional love that was just referenced while they go through this process of defeating evil and saving the day, whether it be the world or the galaxy. And that is essentially what we're looking to do within this story. The story being the Natty King must be crowned. Why? For the sake of the sport, for the sake of the fitness industry, and for the sake of the world. With that in mind, how do we feel about the current state of the fitness industry as it currently stands?
Man, it got muck in it, man. A lot of doo-doo.
Very
A lot
surface
of
level.
a lot of misinformation being preached. Everybody is, I mean, not saying that you can't, how can I put this? Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon of becoming a fitness influencer without knowing the true meaning of what fitness is. It's all about monetary gains. And for me, that kind of water down the whole aspect of what fitness really is. When you have true bodybuilders like myself and true fitness influencers out there trying to push the narrative of fitness, there are these other people that are just out there just making a mockery and making it mediocre. So yeah.
Sam, you're about to say something.
Yeah, no, I was basically addressing at its surface level. It's very it seems so tangible these days to
Right.
be into fitness, and it's just it's not quite as in depth as I know all of us feel in our hearts. Like we truly have a deep connection with fitness and how it's changed our lives for the better and the people
Mhm.
around us, and it almost seems these days like you can just become a fitness influencer the next day, or you can become a fitness this, fitness that, or a coach this, coach that immediately. And I don't think that's really the direction. I think we need true foundational leaders that have really put the time and effort into
The effort.
understanding what it means to lead people, not just, putting coach in their bio and sign me up,
Right.
I think
Yeah,
True words.
I think there's a big problem right now in the industry where you either have like two sides where it's like the bro science but with steroids, and then you have like the absolutists that think they have the exact formula how to maintain their fitness, how to maintain everything. And I believe personally that health is a spectrum. It's not one size fits all. So anyone that is preaching this is the best thing for this XYZ across the board just kind of seems like a charlatan and not someone that's really caring about health and longevity like they might claim or at least market.
Well
Right.
said.
I
Well
think
said.
with the fitness industry throwing so many different misinformation all over the place right now, people are kind of stuck not knowing how to actually um, be in the gym,
Go about it.
perform
mhm.
exercises properly, go through the training, understand the nutrition. I feel like nutrition is kind of like where everyone gets the most stuck nowadays. But in terms of bodybuilding itself, there's a big problem with like the outside community of bodybuilding not recognizing it as a sport. And when they do, they kind of frown upon it. Like your random 42-year-old mother who sees her son get into bodybuilding, most of the time they're not into it. They're like, why would you do that? That's
Right.
disgusting. Blah, blah. But meanwhile, the whole purpose of it originally was for health, was for
Hmm.
like getting into better shape, trying to become an athlete, you know, trying to beat the competition. And that kind of got too far. And now everyone's taken it to a point where, it's, I don't know, I just see like majority of the people who aren't aware of natural bodybuilding at least, they look at the whole sport as it doesn't even exist in terms of like, oh yeah, just soccer,
Mhm.
Olympics. And no one looks at bodybuilding. They're all like, what even is that? And just because it's gotten lost. It was supposed to be for very health beneficial purposes and showing off like, like the most ideal man. What is he like in and outside of the gym? Around his family, around his friends, like what does that look like? How educated is he and how willing is he to take that and use that for good around the world? And yeah, it's gotten lost. That doesn't exist anymore.
Mhm. Wow. I
Beautiful.
think everybody had great input. I agree with everything. And being a seasoned guy, back in the day, when I was competing, and of course we followed the people that did use because we didn't know any better. And
Mhm.
knowing that there was an alternative, to what Arnold and Frank saying those guys did back in the day, knowing that I can do it naturally, I was able to have rivalries with these guys because we knew that we could do it naturally. And I think back then it wasn't about money or fame or, how many Instagram follows because there wasn't any internet. It was just basically about we wanted to be on stage. We wanted to see how much we could push ourselves naturally to have the type of physique that, the mainstream, the public would like, want to aspire to. And being able to do that was a great thing for me. We had these forums where you would see people like Lane Norton and Doug Miller and all these guys that were there, Kiyoshi Moody, all the great naturals that were out there at the time. And it was just a different environment. And now with social media, and just like everyone was saying, they're more about getting the likes, saying I'm a natural pro, but they might have won one show to turn pro and haven't even used the pro card. And they're just having these fancy type of ways of working out, nutrition, things that are, you don't really have to do it. Just like I think Nexus was saying there, it's really about basic nutrition, eating, clean, natural food for health. You don't have to do any crazy type of workouts. You just be consistent, and that's the way to go. But it's being lost in the whole marketing of just fitness. So it's pretty sad.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. Thank you all for your responses. Um, feel free to cut me off if anyone else wants to add, by the way. Um, I have a solution to the issues that have just been voiced, and that is using the power of myth, which is actually a book by Joseph Campbell, but it's also an ideology. The concept that has been what turned Walt Disney into a billionaire and incredibly successful multimedia conglomerate is the concept of taking core human emotions and creating stories that appeal and resonate within the hearts and minds of the audience. So essentially, what I'm saying is storytelling. Storytelling is intending to be the thing that changes the current landscape of bodybuilding and the fitness industry. And that story being, we are going to crown the next sports icon that comes out of bodybuilding, and that person is going to be a natural athlete. The person I'm talking about might even be in this Zoom call. We will crown that person in 2029. And between now and then, our job as storytellers, athletes, and collaborators is to build upon this myth, creating hype, creating momentum, creating excitement, and creating belief that not only that this needs to happen, but that it will happen, that there is an inevitability to the fact that the next icon out of bodybuilding is a natural athlete, and he will be crowned the Natty King. What does it mean to be an icon? What kind of icons come to our minds when we hear that word, whether in sports, movies, etc.? Just shout out a name.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan is definitely an icon.
Kobe Bryant.
Icon.
Kobe Bryant. Yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Usain Bolt comes to mind. Come on.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Sir.
Okay. So these are all fantastic names. And one thing that I notice about when it comes to icons is they have an opportunity to transcend the industry, sport, profession that they became recognized in and end up leaving something of resonance that goes beyond just that thing. So if it's Michael Jordan, he shows up in his own movie called Space Jam, and it's no longer grounded in reality. He's got superpowers where he's like stretching his arm, and that becomes a box office hit. We still remember it. We've got the theme song. I'm going to come back to the
Yeah.
theme song. You mentioned, who else did you mention? Michael Jackson. We don't even have to we don't have to go about Michael Jackson. Usain Bolt, he shows up in cameos across Hollywood. So the goal is, if we're looking at someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who has already essentially done the framework that we're going to be enacting over the course of the next couple of years, starts out as a bodybuilder first. Yes, he took steroids, but what was more interesting about Arnold was his personality, his charisma, his magnetism, transitions into Hollywood and becomes a movie star, and then becomes a politician. And the one common denominator across those three professions is his stage presence. He takes up space. Natural bodybuilders are already doing that. They're just not being marketed properly. Hence, in walks the Natty King. What I've been observing in relation to this project, while we can all pretty much grasp the importance of this moment in time so far as the natural bodybuilding, what I'm noticing is that in order to actually build traction outside of the people who are already developing an emotional attachment to seeing this to fruition, is we need better audio and visual production in order for it to gain traction to thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of people. Which is why the purpose of this topic, or the purpose of this meeting, is essentially seeing is believing. Seeing is believing. So while we might have an understanding that the Natty King already exists, in order to convince the masses, we need to start focusing on better production so far as video and audio. That's why I have Nexus here on the call with me. I'm going to be working with him to develop symbolism for the actual crown. We want to essentially draw all eyes to a infinity gauntlet type of object. If you're familiar with Thanos and the MCU and Avengers Endgame, if you see the gauntlet, you already have this recognition of, okay, power, supreme power. You think of Thanos, you think of the Avengers theme song. All of these images and thoughts flood your memory with the recognition of a glove. That's what the crown is intended to do. So we need to develop a recognizable crown that serves as a point of reference, symbolism for what the Natty King is going to end up becoming, the next sports icon out of bodybuilding. Then for audio, Marvel's got great theme music. What else has great theme music? Star Wars, the minute that you hear the first couple of notes of a Star Wars theme song, immediately you're recalled to epicness, cinematic display, lightsabers, things of that nature. So for the Natty King theme music, we need to get our own theme song. I've actually got a really cool, I'll just like plant this seed. I've never said it out loud. But what I hear when I think of the Natty King theme song after talking to Nexus over here, a metronome, where we hear like a clanging of the Forge Master making the crown. And it's very symbolic of pumping iron, where like, for every rep, we're just hearing a clang, 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 clang. And then maybe it becomes orchestral with some notes of rock. And it gets really big. Basically, it starts small with a metronome, banging, a banging, a banging, gets big, becomes this big orchestral rock song. I think of Game of Thrones, and then it goes back into quiet, and the last thing that we hear is the banging, the banging, the banging. And that's the nature of bodybuilding. You come in, you do your reps, and you don't stop until it's over. And that it brings us back to this is a natural pursuit of perfection, peaking yourself on a daily basis. So that's my current concept of the theme song. Regardless, however it ends up, it needs to be recognizable. With those two in place, which is something that we'll be prioritizing over the next couple of months, then we launch into a YouTube channel called The Natty King, where we will basically be doing sizzle reels and teasers looking to highlight the various athletes and judges that are already attached to the project and mythologizing each athlete and person who's already associated with it. The way that we mythologize it, if I'm looking at a really great fighting video game like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, or Tekken, some of my favorite fighting games, each athlete gets to have their own backstory, origin, and motivation. So we've got 3 athletes on the call right now, Domain, myself, and Sam. So I'll ask you the specific question, which we'll be able to refer back to in the future. As we know that the title of the Natty King comes with a $1 million cash prize. What would you do with the $1 million?
Okay, hold on. Before we delve any further, I'm gonna answer that question. But before I go on to that question, I would like to ask, when it comes on to, I mean, we have all these ideas, and I know that we can put all these ideas to paper, pen to paper, and everybody come on board and work together. What I'm really concerned about is when it comes on to the monetary gains, financial, say for example, investments. How are these gonna come to fruition? How are we looking into these? What are the plans moving forward in getting sponsors on board. I mean, maybe in the next topic we could have talked about this, but I'm not sure if it's gonna get there eventually. I think it will, but that was just one of my main concerns when it comes down to the financial aspect of this whole thing.
Absolutely, and that's a great question. We should do as much of the grassroots string budget work as we possibly can before
Right.
we actually get financial investment from an executive producer or a private equity firm or something of that nature. The more the more eyes, the bigger the following, the bigger the platform that we have, the easier sell it will be to an investor. So me personally, I'm not looking at investors seriously until the YouTube channel is launched, until we have a sizzle reel on there, until we have a 20-minute pilot episode outlining what the future holds, the entire story, which is going to be designed very similar to The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary, or the McGregor Forever. So my intention is do the sizzle reel first with essentially zero budget, then do
Mhm.
a crowdfunding for to raise money for the 20-minute pilot episode, do our best to promote and market that 20-minute pilot episode. And then from there, that's when we go to market for actual executive producers to finance the entire project.
Okay, so I like to ask uncomfortable questions sometimes. What are some of the ways in which we plan to go about marketing? I think you may mention of one or two, but what are, like, for example, do we have meet and greets? Do we have uh differently from the YouTube channel that's gonna maybe bring in a little bit of revenue for us? How is it that we're gonna get the narrative out there to convince people that hey, this is legit? For example, this kind of strikes me though, even though I still have faith that it can work, it kind of strikes me as a little unrealistic, but at the same time, as I say, I have faith. The $1 million cash prize, it has never been done. When it comes down to a one-man payout, it has never been done. And I'm a little bit concerned where that is, if you get what I'm saying, you know? Because I feel like if that's gonna be the marker, the $1 million marker, I think we should have had a start to say, you know what, let's start at 500 at least, or maximum. You get what I'm saying? Um, and then we work our way up. If a lot of people come on board, investors, or we start raking in enough revenue, because to set the standard this high and not be able to meet that standard can be a blow in all of our faces, if you get what I mean. Everything can explode in our faces. So we want to be cautious moving forward of how we put information out there, and how we tend to, try to get the crowd to be on with us and not lead anybody into thinking, oh, this is just they were just giving false information all along. They couldn't live up to the expectations of actually pulling this off. Because they're gonna say, yo, this has never been done in the history of mankind. And who's this guy, Shaun Fury? Who does he think he is? So people are gonna ask questions, and when they ask persons like myself, how are you guys gonna pull this off? What do I say to them when it comes down to the financial part of it? What do I say? You know?
Great questions, and thank you so much for asking the questions that need to be asked. I'm so grateful for that.
Right.
You asked two very good questions. The first one is how do we market? And the best solution that I can offer before we actually get any kind of substantial financial backing is
Right.
a online public dialogue. So
Right.
I'm going to actually lead into that where I've already suggested. So far as the athletes who are already attached to this project, I'm encouraging them to start doing IG lives one-on-one with like each other, the people who are
I
attached to
saw that.
the
Yeah.
project, just to create more conversation. And then from that, it is it is the onus on myself and anyone else who's involved to create engaging type of content that people can ask. We want to ask the question, should the Natty King exist? Do we have what it takes for the Natty King to get crowned? Is there an athlete in the sport of natural bodybuilding that is worth $1 million? We never have to confirm that we have $1 million until we actually have it. So the onus of like there is no lying here. We're being completely transparent. There should be a Natty King. There
Right.
should be a title that exists within the realm of natural bodybuilding that is of that stature and esteem. Period.
Mhm.
Anyone who agrees, I want you to weigh in on that opinion. Anyone who disagrees, they're completely welcome to engage and say, there's no way that Shaun Fury, who the hell is this guy? There's no way he's going to pull it off. And the Mr. Olympia is always going to be and always will be. And there is no future for natural bodybuilding. That's the conversation. This
Mhm.
conversation plays out over the next couple of years, regardless as to whether or not we actually get the $1 million.
Right.
Now, to answer your second question, is this being unrealistic? Yes. And that's exactly why I want to do it. I would never
Mhm.
want to put it anything below $1 million. If I'm looking at it from the perspective of a Hollywood blockbuster film, there are so many terrible movies and TV shows that raise 17, $20 million and go into production and then come into a deficit. So I'm structuring this strategy off of a person who, or like a group, a studio company that uses investor portfolios. And we are just slotting this project into their portfolio. The intention is for them to perceive this project as a risk to reward ratio. But the
Mm.
investment, if we come up with a number, $1 million cash prize for the actual winner, and maybe the entire budget comes out to, I don't know, arbitrary number, and we'll put that together later. Let's say the entire budget comes out to $5 million. We're looking for a $5 million investment from a studio company or a group of executive producers to put this show on, and this is the risk to reward ratio. And that's it. This is a Hollywood production. We're not thinking about like the way that federations have structured their competitions. We're not thinking about Mr. America or WMBF Worlds. This is a production, a Hollywood.
Right. So
Yeah.
sorry for cutting you off. So what are the risks and reward for this investment for anybody planning to invest within the Natty King?
Absolutely. Great question. It would have to be product placement. So let's say we get a $5 million investment from a studio company, right? We
Right.
get the streaming service up and running on Netflix. And then we're now working with Red Bull, Harley Davidson, the typical sponsors that put their products in view of a WrestleMania or a Mr. Olympia show. So that would be the return on investment so far
Right.
as impressions for sponsors.
Okay. I mean, it sounds very interesting. I mean, I feel like we don't have much time on our hands. I mean, 2028 may seem far away, but as you blink, it's right here. It's right with us. I feel like if we're gonna do something unthinkable or unbelievable, things need to be put in place. No, I mean, as I said, I feel like we're having the conversations that needs to be had, and people are agreeing. People are now on board. Some of the best natural bodybuilders out there right now are here on the Zoom call. So I feel like we have this part pat, but moving forward, I feel like we just need to do a little bit more when it comes on to uh, getting people to see where we're going, so they can be on board and not just deny us of something we think is worthwhile, if you get what I mean.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I just feel like we need to start doing more. That's what all I feel.
Yep.
Not just on Samuel's part, not individually, but as a group. When do we say, we all need to meet up at some point so we can put on a show, for example, a little what you call these shows? Like it's not an actual bodybuilding shows, but just all of us natural athletes, no matter the shape or the condition you are, we just go on stage and we put on a little posing. People come take pictures with us, sign some autographs. A lot of people out there, I'm sure, wants to meet me or wants to meet Samuel or you, Shaun Fury, Ricardo. We are well-known icons within the sport of natural bodybuilding right now as we stand. So I'm sure some people, and if people see that we're doing these kind of things, they'll see that this is not a joke. But until we make that certain move, then they'll see that, hey, this is actually serious. And Shaun Fury is going to pull off one of the biggest natural bodybuilding events in history.
I could not agree more. I could not agree more.
Right.
And I would have to say, because the money's got to come from somewhere. And
Right.
yeah, yeah. So to your point, our current level is zero financial backing, and I'm working within the realm of that, which is why I'm suggesting online engagement. And we want to start a public dialogue. I've got a IG live scheduled with Greg Doucette. My
Mhm.
intention when I talk to Greg Doucette is to figure out what kind of content he needs from us for him to start making content about this.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, about this. If he's in agreement that there should be a natural athlete that is recognized as an iconic figure within the sport of bodybuilding as a whole, if he
Mhm.
agrees with that, then we need to get on the same page as to figuring out, like, okay, well, how can you contribute to this movement?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm saying online public dialogue, and there are hundreds of YouTube channels that are like being or confined to fitness content and fitness commentary. So if we
Mhm.
can start that dialogue of should there be a natural athlete that makes $1 million in the sport of bodybuilding? Should like is that crazy? Is that a crazy thing? If we can just ask that question and if the right people start asking it and answering it, like a Greg Doucette or a Dr. Mike Israetel or some other fitness YouTuber,
Mhm.
once that conversation actually starts happening, it will pick up traction. We will
Right.
get, and then we have more leverage to
Right.
actually start being in
Traction.
person.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. But I mean, Domain, I'm in complete agreement with you. We,
Right.
as athletes, we should be doing a whole lot more.
Yeah, and the next thing I'd love to touch on is when it comes down to the camaraderie amongst ourselves within the group. I mean, if there's segregation of some sort, it's gonna cause a fast downfall. Because if I'm not communicating with Samuel and Samuel's not communicating with Coach Ricardo, it's just gonna be like, all right, you know what? Just for example, in reference to the grouping up call, the 2-on-2 grouping call, something like that. If I'm not familiar with Samuel, it may be a problem. Worse if I don't follow Samuel on social media or I don't like his content or we had some issues in the past. That might create some conflict moving forward. So, how do we resolve things like these? How do we ensure that everybody's on the same page and everybody's cool with each other without any form of, bad blood or grudge? Because this is a major thing, even though, because this is $1 million on the line, bro. It's gonna be a point where it's gonna be cutthroat. So,
If
but
you don't
before it gets to any of that, though, how do we weed out
what
the
you
bad blood from amongst ourselves?
what you were saying actually sparked me some ideas because it came off of what Shaun was saying in another chat about this
Right.
being like at a WWE level.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say the athletes do represent themselves like that. I think like having that little beef here and there, like it's good. Like that's the things that you want to kind of show on media. Those are the things that like drive maybe
All right.
Greg Shea to talk about it. But I
I
also,
do.
in terms
I
of like the professional work, like maybe
mm-hmm.
there has to be podcasts or like
Right.
videos that people are going to do something outside in their community. Like I don't know, people need to share in their own way, and then
Mm-hmm.
even do little small tasks and projects that involve this as a whole, right? But I think
Right.
like the thing you were saying, were like what happens if the athletes run into this problem? It
Mm-hmm.
should just be like there has to be some sort of production, like every
Right.
athlete have a team where like they have a filmer, they have like a director, like someone
Mm-hmm.
guiding them around and
Around. Right.
their journey with them. I think like in terms of if you want to actually get a whole dialogue and get the journey, capture it, you need
Right.
that for each athlete.
And I
Right.
think just to add, Daniel, to what you're saying with the WWE and how like a little bit of conflict can be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's gonna be people we naturally get along with and people we don't naturally
Don't
get
actually
along
get
with,
along with.
and we
Right.
can kind of play on that. So if we get along with somebody, we can almost do like a tag team situation where like we create our own dialogue, like, yo, we're gonna get a gym session in together, we're gonna do a meet and greet together, like we're and then, kind of like have like mini adversaries with like people that are maybe doing that themselves as well, or I don't know, just throwing some ideas out.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. Yeah, because like little things like me and you going to the gym, right, and then like another duo going to the gym, and then eventually the four going to the gym together.
Exactly.
That little simple thing,
Exactly.
and then it's the conversations that are had. That's the important thing, right? It's like the friendships, the bonds that are made. Like you guys learn more about each other.
Yeah,
Yep.
and just to further way on, like everything that you guys are saying are right on the money. So yeah, Domain, $1 million on the line. I like to focus on the crown because the crown is
Mm-hmm.
something I'm about the power of myth. $1 million is very tangible. We could all touch $1 million, right? That's very
Ooh,
yeah.
speak
But
it, man.
yeah, but I like the crown. I think the crown, the Infinity Gauntlet, like the crown, the one ring from Lord of the Rings, like that's what I'm kind of
Right.
thinking about. Or if we want to look at WWE framework, the belt, the WWE World Champion belt, like that's what the crown is supposed to be. So there are supposed to form like alliances and factions, and maybe two athletes really do click well with one another, but only one can be crowned. And maybe there's like a fan base of like one specific athlete who's like, oh, this guy is clearly the guy who's supposed to wear the crown of the Natty King. Like these things are supposed to happen organically. And to specifically answer your question, Domain,
Mm-hmm.
as a storyteller, of course, I would love for everyone to get along and play nice and
And
unify.
it will happen.
Yeah. And we just tell that story. That's it.
Right.
We just because like if you think about like this is a story based on real events. So if the real events are we've got 30 natural bodybuilders within like the next 2 years, we've casted 30 natural bodybuilders and they're all vying for this title, this crown, and this $1 million cash prize. There will be alliances, there will be friendships, there will be rivalries, there will be like some arrogant individuals. We need arrogance,
Sorry.
we need
Mm-hmm.
cockiness, we need
Yep.
we need selflessness, we need people who are saying, no, I've got the best physique. I'm gonna take that money and I'm gonna fucking flaunt it. I'm,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Word.
yeah, I'm gonna buy a Lambo and that's what I'm gonna do with it. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is just really funny because it just reminds me of like RuPaul's Drag Race. Like this is exactly what you see. Like this is like you see that. You see the rivalries but also the friendships. And I feel like this would be really interesting to like play around with to have bodybuilders do that instead of drag queens. Um and to also like follow that format because they're also like going after this like I think they like go after like $500,000 cash and then like sponsorships and doing like photo shoots like gaining that notoriety and also just like getting crowned by RuPaul like probably the most famous drag queen ever. um so I feel like if we kind of play around with that concept, but also try to find a way to make it our own, because we also don't want it to make it seem like I just said, this is basically just RuPaul's Drag Race, but bodybuilding. We want it to make it, we have to find a way to make it purely our own, like something different, like following the same formula, but it is still something different and our baby. Well, your baby.
Please say our. Please say our.
All
Yeah.
right.
Definitely our. I couldn't agree more with you. I would say that the thing that separates this project from, let's say, a RuPaul's Drag Race is the stakes. The stakes are grounded in the Natty King is fighting for the soul of the fitness industry. And the sequel to this project, directly after the Natty King gets crowned, he will be going up head to head against the Mr. Olympia. And it's going to be the question of who is the better athlete, who really deserves to be in the spotlight so far as being not only the poster child for natural bodybuilding, but the poster child for the sport of bodybuilding entirely. Is it Derek Lunsford or is it Demain
Mhm.
Dawson or Samuel
Yeah.
Bordeaux or Shaun Fury? Like
Let
who really
me.
should be the face of this sport? And I
Let
think
me.
the answer to all of like everyone on this call knows what the answer is. Like we all know it.
Themselves. Right.
Well, the Natty King.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I know it's yeah. So I would say like that's the narrative. And again, that's why for me, those are the stakes. Derek Lunsford, the Mr. Olympia, I'm so grateful that they've had their time in the sun and like the spotlight, but they are misrepresenting the sport and they are misrepresenting the fitness industry by putting this guy as the face of health and wellness and longevity.
Right. And
Period.
it's right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
It.
Domain, thank you so much for asking those kinds of questions because it became like a thing. So
Right.
I'm very grateful for that perspective.
Not
Uh,
a problem, man.
yeah. So long story short, the whole purpose of this call was basically to say audio and visual is going to become key because we have to. I think the storyline itself is is really good. The Natty King must be crowned for the sake of the fitness industry. And now it's just basically flashy, cinematic, epic type stuff in the format of 2 to 3 minute reels, and a larger project of a 20-minute pilot, really setting the tone for what the story is supposed to look like, explaining the dangers of steroid use, the current status of the fitness industry, and who are the players involved. And with someone like Philip Ricardo Jr. as the head judge of this project, we can work with him to display, like, he's already had his legacy, and that's been cemented. And he is an unsung hero that we are looking to make sure that this doesn't happen again for the next generation of natural bodybuilders.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So honestly, I think that hit everything. Let me see. Yeah. So basically, it's just engagement, public engagement. Yeah, that's basically it.
All right. I'm gonna think of some more hard questions so I can throw at you, but
Yeah.
maybe on the next video call. But for now, I think we're on the right path. I think we do have the idea moving forward of what we'd want the natural king to be, Natty King to be. So with all of that being said, man, thumbs up, bro.
Yeah, thank you. And just to I really do want to hit home, because I think you do really pull up a great point. And I've obviously I've been working on this for 2 years now. Let's say in a hypothetical, let's say we fail and we cannot secure a $1 million funding by we are eyeing June 2029 for this tournament to occur. We did some because the Olympics are in 2028, and I believe that's in LA. So if we were to put the King of Naturals tournament in LA, we would want to create some space. So we're looking at June 2029 for this tournament to go on, right? We want to finish out casting of the 30 athletes by the end of 2027. So 10 athletes in 2026 and another 10 athletes in 2027. So let's say we fail and we've got the 30 athletes and we're making content and we're telling a story and people are watching, but like there's like, oh, well, where's the $1 million? Like, is this really going to happen? And for some reason, with all of my skills and drive and perseverance and intelligence, I can't pull off getting funding for whatever
Mhm.
reason.
Woo!
That in and of itself, that in and of itself is a story. And people tell stories of failures. Like,
That's true.
yeah, like I am a storyteller. So however this story winds up, I still believe that the Natty King should exist. I still believe that the natural athlete in bodybuilding should be an icon. I believe that. So I'm going to find that individual. From there, they will become an icon just because that's how I tell stories. Like the story has to finish. So it's not so much of like, okay, what if we don't crown the Natty King in 2029? Like, what is the story by 2029 is the real question. How far have we gotten by 2029? Like, that's the real question. And we will get there from this conversation that we're having right here and the interaction that continues to arise after this conversation ends, if that makes sense.
If I
Yeah.
could add something, I think, like, let's say the payout doesn't happen or the $1 million isn't achieved. I think it's just so beautiful from like a heartfelt place that we're in this for the movement of, you
Natural
know what I
bodybuilding.
mean? Like, yeah, like the fact that we're on a project all together, creating something absolutely revolutionary to me is already like it's amazing. So, hey, money's great, but movement's better.
Right. I feel like
Sam,
again
yeah.
too, I feel like because we've made that $1 million the standout point of the whole project, um, it not working out in the end, it wouldn't, as you said, Sean, it wouldn't be considered a failure, but because we told a story and because without the money being a part of the whole project, I feel like we still could come together and pull off something historical when it comes down to bringing all natural athletes together, which most federations have never done before because of politics and so and so. But here, Shaun Fury brought us all together under one roof, and we're doing something great. So if we're not to focus on on the $1 million itself, I feel like the legacy in which we're about to create when it comes down to every natural bodybuilder being under one roof is an accomplishment within itself.
Yeah, like how many
So,
lives are going to change just because of the
right,
project we've already begun, you know?
right, right, right.
Yeah, and
And I also like all like even bad publicity is good publicity.
Publicity, right, good.
Even like if we are being bashed on, I don't know, like we never know. Like people are still going to talk about it. And who knows, maybe the talk will be big enough that some sponsor or some like executive producer is going to see us and be like, oh, hey, like they're actually like
Mm-hmm.
trying to do
Yeah.
something. Let's help them out and get them to that level or maybe even beyond. Like you never know. So like just as long as we try to break that barrier, I think it'll be a good thing either way.
That's
yeah,
exactly what I was gonna say, Charisma. You stole the words and said it perfectly. So that's yeah, that's what it's all about. I've been on many projects before and they promised big things, but even though some of them failed, I was part of a movement like this, and I still have memories of those, and I still keep in contact with the people that were part of that. And this is the same way. It's good to see like the present day top athletes, even the guys we have on this call right now. I just love to see when you get the 10 athletes and the 20 athletes and the 30 athletes. We're going to be bonding forever, and including Charisma and Nexus. Just it could be a good thing. So I'm looking forward to it.
and oh wait, Domain, you were about to say something.
Yes, Sean. So a few ideas that comes to mind as we speak is, for example, I would have seen a lot of YouTube channels and influencer do things like these. So I know controversy is a major thing within bodybuilding sometimes, and bodybuilding is a subjective sport. So, for example, out of the 30-man call that out of the 30 guys that you've chosen, like weekly we can do like a comparison, like differently from the storytelling. You like Natty News, for example, does this with the me and Jay right beside each other. People, it builds up anticipation to see us go head to head. So what you can do, I think, you can get me in doing a couple poses, get the public to chime in to say, you know what, all right, I think the main is better in this pose. Samuel is better in this pose. Who do you have winning this pose? Then you get me just to engage with the audience a little bit, just to keep them entertained. So things like these, I feel like could be some key pointers as in to draw the attention of the audience moving forward.
Very much agree. Very much agree.
Comparisons, yeah, let people be in the comment section saying you crazy, that guy shouldn't have beaten that guy. How did you come up to with this? You get me? So I feel like these could actually be put on paper.
I
That
mean,
is
that's actually excellent too, because I've actually seen that live and in person, and you
Mhm.
know my thoughts
Yeah,
on
I'm
it.
telling you.
And
Right.
so even you can even have somebody like me and Marshall as
Of
people that have been
course.
around talking about this and say, from this is what I
Right.
see, this is what I see. And
Mm-hmm.
that'll spawn some like, other
Right.
people say, who do
Controversy
you
and
think?
talking.
Yes, and talking. Yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
Just having the
No, it's
mere
good.
image alone, pictures upon screens in
Yes.
different poses. All right. So, for example, the other day I did the Mr. America. People would have said, you know what, Damien is a clear winner, but the judges saw it otherwise, right? So,
Right,
if
right.
we could draw back to those little scenarios to say, you know what,
Yes.
let's go pose for pose. Let's explain to the people why we think this physique is one of the best and why I think he should win. These are the things that people want to see. Prove to us why you think this guy is worthy of becoming the natural king, the natty king,
amen.
by doing those simple things. Yeah.
Yeah. Amen. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Hmm?
Okay. Okay. Cool, man. This is great. I love the brain power. This is really good. Last thing I want to say, I don't know who's a fan of Naruto, but the way that I would like to structure this story is there's the Hokage of the ninja village. There's this big ninja village called the Hidden Leaf Village, and the Hokage is basically the appointed leader, the appointed president of this village. The Natty King is intended to be the appointed leader or the appointed figurehead for the sport of natural bodybuilding, that community. And if I were to look at it like a historical moment in time, George Washington being the general of the Revolutionary Army, we appoint the Natty King, and then he leads the Natty Army to overthrow the enhanced side of the sport. That is the storyline. And from my perspective, this is how I like to structure this story. Yeah, we're having 30 natural bodybuilders. As a storyteller, as the founder of this project, my goal is to crown the Natty King that knows to use the $1 million as a war fund.
Yeah.
We want the Natty King to lead a movement to change the world and prioritize natural human potential. Now, we will have athletes on the roster who are completely in it for themselves, and we're going to showcase that. And it's going to be my hope. I hope that guy does not win, but maybe he does. Like, that's the story. And I'll be looking at Philip Ricardo, and I'm like, dude, you're the head judge. Like, I need your help on this. I need your help on this. Like, this motherfucker cannot win. And like, you're like, hey, listen, I'm gonna judge. I'm gonna judge. And like
Fear
that's
judging.
exact.
Right. Yep. Fear judging, man. That's another topic of discussion.
And dude,
Too much
Right.
pressure. Too much pressure.
we can get into it. Like, we can have all these discussions. That's the point. It needs to be a public dialogue. It needs to be a public dialogue. So like all these thoughts and ideas that we're talking about right now, we expand on these ideas in the format of like better audio, better visual presentation, and that's how the story blossoms.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Well, that's basically it. I don't think I have anything else, and we're capping it at an hour, so I'm pretty darn happy. This was great.
Yep.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right. Well, I thank you all for hopping on. Charisma, I'm going to reach out to you because I'd love to schedule a call with you to talk about production for the sizzle reel, because that's like the next little project that we have to complete to launch the YouTube channel. So I'll talk offline with you to schedule something, and this is great. I'll be keeping all of you in the loop. All right.
Thanks, Chance.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
Rizla. Take care.
Thank you
All
all.
right.
Take care
Good
of
to see
yourself,
ya.
All
man.
right.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Blessings.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Yeah.
Peace.